seeing the world means standing in front of great architecture that doesn't look like anything you'd see at home. It means experiencing cultures different from your own, or tasting something totally new. But the more you travel, the more you start to realize that there's a well-trodden tourist path that requires a certain finesse if you don't want to spend your free time waiting in lines. More and more, I'm leaning into the wise words of poet Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. I'm Angie Orth, and in our last episode, travel journalist Gerald Tan took us off the beaten path to discover the untapped beauty of Europe. This week, Gerald serves up his top 5 most incredible eats in Europe's best-kept secret cities. So pack your appetite, because this promises to be a very tasty adventure. So, this is 5 incredible eats in Europe's best-kept secret cities. You're going to nail this. I just know it. You have a sweet tooth.
I do.
So I'm curious, which of all these destinations we've talked about surprised you the most with their dessert or pastry traditions?
Oh, surprised me. It's very hard to surprise me, okay? And I was blown away. In Bratislava, they have a dish called Bratislavský rozok. And rozok, I just read in books and they say it's a pastry with poppy seeds. And I go, yeah, I've had those in my life. Oh, no. I never had those in my life. It is so protected and so integral to their culture that it's protected. It's got a special status in European Union. So, of course, I'm already geeking out. I'm reading this. They've got rules to call it, this Bratislavský rozok. You have to have like a 30% fat to flour ratio in the pastry. The filling must be at least 40% the weight of the entire thing. It's just brimming with poppy seeds and sugar. Now, they've got 2 kinds. One, which is the more traditional one, the poppy seed, it has to be shaped in a crescent, like a horseshoe. But if it's in like a C, then it's filled with walnuts. So when you go to, you always see 2, and you already know which one is which. They also all have to be hand rolled. So I just discovered this newfound appreciation for poppy seeds because of that. I discovered 2 gelato shops there. Blew my mind. One had poppy seed raspberry. The other was poppy seed sour cherries. Oh my gosh. I stood there and stopped dead in my tracks, licked it all, and ordered another one. They were so good.
I just love that you eat that dessert and you just go for it. I really appreciate that about you, Gerald.
No shame.
I love that. I feel like we would do well in a European city together. Question 2. What is your top destination recommendation of the 5 places we've covered for sweet tooth travelers?
York. Hands down York. So people might not know this, but that little chocolate snack that you have, that wafer that you break in 2 when you need a break, you get a Kit Kat. Born in York, invented there. My other favorite chocolate treat, Terry's chocolate orange. You have it a lot at Christmas time. It comes in a round thing and you kind of crack it and it wedges open into these chocolate orange wedges. Born in York. Well, apart from its chocolate tradition, the home place of Kit Kat and Terry's chocolate orange, they love their pudding. I mean, tea time. There's so many tea houses in York, the most famous of which is called Betty's. It's been around since 1919. They've come up with a scone called a fat rascal. Even the name is hilarious. And that's beyond fun. Just a regular scone, which is we know is crumbly and buttery and I could have every single day with clotted cream, the fat rascal has currants and fruit peel in it. And on the very top, they've got 2 maraschino cherries, and 3 little almonds, like a face. So you go into these bakeries and you see this really cute scone that has a face on it. That's a fat rascal. They also have Yorkshire curd tarts, which are tarts that are made from cheese curds. And as I said, Yorkshire pudding that you can have for dessert, where they serve it oftentimes with treacle or whipped cream or fresh fruit. So yes, If you've not been to York, just go and make sure you're wearing elasticated trousers because even the belt buckle, you might just pass through the last one.
It sounds like my kind of place. Let's talk about Liechtenstein because it sits between Switzerland and Austria and is a very small
Mm,
country, kind of an Alpine
mm,
crossroads situation. Do they have any unique
totally.
dishes or local specialties you can only get there?
They have a few, but the one that interested me the most is, I think, what they consider their national dish, and it's called Käsknupfle. And Käsknupfle is very similar to what you get in Germany, which is a Käsespätzle. Essentially, it's elevated mac and cheese, but um, the dumpling or the noodle, as they call it, it's enrobed in cheese sauce. So that already, as you know, is going to be fantastic. But then they top it with fried onions. So this is where the similarity
Mm.
stops, right? So in Germany and Liechtenstein, you have the noodle, you've got the cheese, you've got the fried onions. Then you get to Liechtenstein, and then they throw applesauce on there. So now you've got a tart, sweet element to cut through the fat and the carb and the cheese. Oh my gosh. I ate a plate bigger than my face and I almost licked the bowl at the end of it all. And it was raining. So that was my excuse to just kind of like sit there and linger and kind of like ask for the extra large plate.
Let's talk about Slovakia again. It doesn't have the same culinary reputation as some of its neighbors.
Mm,
So, do you think people
mm.
have misconceptions about Slovak food? And is there anything people should absolutely try when they go to Bratislava?
I knew yay much, big fat zero about Slovak food, right? I just thought it was going to be Czech 2.0, slap me twice and kick me out the door. They have this one dish. You probably tried it. Um, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of it. Brinzova haluski. Haluski is very similar to a gnocchi because it is a potato dumpling, like small little and eaten most like a noodle. But then you've got Brunzover cheese, which is a sheep's cheese, mild, smooth, and they just coat it in. I mean, and rope. This is gooey, and it is really soul affirming food. And it's something
Mm.
you really only will find in Bratislava, and probably all in Slovakia. Oh, you know what dish? I have a story for this. Kapunica, cabbage soup. So as we know in that region, they love their pickled cabbage, they like their stuffed cabbage, cabbage soup, and I adore cabbage. So I went around looking for kapunica because it's considered a dish that is so prevalent, and it's sauerkraut and potatoes and meat in it. And I went to this restaurant that I read, that it's a local favorite. And I went to them and I asked the woman for kapunica, and you should have seen her face. It was as though I'd asked her for the moon. I mean, the temerity. And she says, "Oh," she goes, "that's only during Christmas time. But if you go into the town center where all the tourists are, you may find it. They will sell it there all year round." And I just thought I made the biggest faux pas, right? Because everything I read said when you're in Slovakia, you have to try kapunica. Well, nobody said anything about Christmas time. So, I walked 10 minutes out of town and every restaurant sold it. And it was really, really good. But now I know, it is a holiday treat. And I think that's again something, when we talk about traveling, you have to speak to locals, you have to have that time to be able to converse with them because you learn so many things that are situational, which are cultural, which give you a little glimpse into that people. And I'm so grateful for it, although I will never hide that shame again. Whew, asking for kapanica in May.
How dare you? How dare you?
How dare you? The
I'm offended.
audacity.
I'm offended on her behalf. Okay, last question of the snackable episode, which is Bordighera. What restaurant should people book in advance if they really want to splash out on a great meal?
Bordighera is because it's in that really sexy kind of Riviera strip, has the attention of Michelin. Bordighera itself has a few restaurants on the Michelin Guide, but not with a star. If you want to splash out, you only need to drive 10 minutes out to Ventimiglia, where they've got two one Michelin star restaurants. Both are very local, like so very hyper local ingredients. Casa Buono is one. The other one is Balzi Rosso, it's called. And both are sort of, really leaning into that Ligurian cuisine, but there's got a lot of seafood, and they really sort of know how to, give you the essence of Italian cuisine, which is, fresh ingredients, simple, nothing fussy, and yet, a nice homage to the land, to the sea, the terroir around them.
Anything I cook for myself right now is not going to compare. So excuse me while I go book a flight. Do you have anything else
No,
you want to
sure.
add before I read our little outro?
I think Georgian cuisine is really so up and coming now.
Mm.
Everyone, of course, knows about, hinkali, these massive dumplings. And again, I think, they got it probably from the Silk Road, the Mongols or the Chinese, but theirs, I've never seen them. Massive dumplings. And the way to eat them is to get that kind of doughy nubbin at top, and you pick it up from the top, you flip it over, then you eat the dumpling, and you can't eat that protuberance, that nubbin. Apparently, it's really, really rude if you stuff your face with it, which clearly I did the first time. And then kachapuris, this boat carby. I mean, it's gorgeous. You've got a piece of bread and it's cheese in the middle, sometimes with egg inside. My favorite things from there are palis, which are vegetable dip sauces, if you want to call it. All of them, whatever fresh vegetable you have, you blitz it with walnuts, because walnuts are the workhorse of Georgian cuisine. Oh, and my little advice, the importance of just speaking to locals and the luxury you have, because the recommendations they can give. When I started, I used to ask, where should I go to eat, or where do I go to find this? And nowadays, I tend to ask, where do you go? Because I feel
Mm.
there's a difference. I feel that when I ask, where should I go? They're naming, especially if you ask hotel valets, they're naming you the top three that everyone has talked about. But I'm more interested in where the locals eat, where people get, where there's craving, flavors that are familiar to them. And so that's when you get the stories, I come from this region of
Mm.
of the country. And when I go to this restaurant, it reminds me the most of our local flavors, or they make a dish that reminds me of my mom's cooking and I can't find it anywhere else. So that's what I've tended to ask, where do you go? Where do you eat? Where do you, what's your special treat where you've celebrated your birthday? Or where do you go at the weekends? Or sometimes, because, I've already exhausted my funds, I go, honestly, where can I go for just one little cute little pastry for breakfast and be done with it? And that's where I find the best spots.
Mm. That's such good advice. Kind of turning it, yeah, definitely ask a local, but what are you asking them and how are you wording it? That makes all the difference. So thank you for that extra amazing tidbit at the end of our episode. Gerald Tan, thank you for joining us. And thank you, our listeners, for being with us. If you're planning a trip, be sure to connect with a AAA travel advisor. Check out AAA.com/travel or visit your local branch. This podcast is a production of Auto Club Enterprises. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and leave us a review. I'm Angie Orth. Thank you for traveling with AAA.